Hello and welcome to another week of Nasty. We have two 3-1 teams going head to head against each other. One of these teams will become 4-1, securing their lead in the pack, and the other will be a 3-2 team in the middle. And here we have Tony with me, and this is Pato. Hey Tony, how you going?
Going pretty well. I'm interested to see how these two 3-1 teams fare. Right off the bat, we're looking at two very important matchups with the Kazan versus Atlas and the Jafar versus Finny. Oh my god. Never mind, point already scored.
I mean, it's still an important matchup, but yeah, Nikki Middleton so far, absolutely wonderful on the Kazan here. Hopefully Jewish Agent can make some adjustments, especially with the Twin Drive Atlas coming out.
Yeah, and an early level 2 means that the Kazan's gonna have a pretty good time getting those early points. Once everybody's level 2, especially once the Jafar gets online and can start killing that Kazan, things will start to ramp up to the side of GHOG.
Yeah, I mean, Atlas level 2 coming in clutch as Spring Rolls brought down really low, but he can heal up again, but he still has no evade, and he's a squishy Rasmus for now. Mr. Flambeau, Nicky Millen both jumping on that chance, but Spring Rolls going to escape the orb. Not nearly, though, not close enough. Mr. Flambeau beams him off the edge there, and now it's a power play on the side of Handless Dogs, and Sphinx is brought low this time. And Nicky Millen, Flambeau hunting for Sphinx. Weston with the misdirection misses, and Sphinx still brought down low. He has one evade. This could be a difference between another power play and Nicky Middleton getting the tables turned on herself. But now it's a little bit of a handshake to stop killing each other as they both retreat for orbs. And now Weston, great redirect through the big finish. And Mr. Flambeau with an energy approaching Jewish Asian rapidly. Jewish Asian uses his second expanse here. Mr. Flambeau has the beam, has the flip, and Nicky Middleton is the one who runs in with the Kazan, slams the ground, gets the barrier, 1-1 barrier for both sides. Jewish Agent using the strike shot out. Spring Rolls pulls Weston and gets the barrier open for Team Groundhog Day here. But Spring Rolls might be beamed off if he's not too careful. And there he goes, power play on the side of Handless Dogs as Nicky Middleton unashamed about using the poison variant on the left. She's brought low, but does get that barrier open themselves for Handless Dogs, and they can play the power play very well, and Sphinx might be taken off the table again. The never-endless power play seemingly coming out from Handless Dogs, and Nicky Middleton right around Jewish Asian. Great play from Handless Dogs.
And it was all off the back of like consistent power plays, and that's the power of that Finny in this draft. Once they start doing damage, it's really hard for the side of GHOG to actually survive, because there's just so many consistent outputs of just light hits over and over, canceling that regen. And it's going to be the question of whether this Atlas can help them survive long enough to utilize their superior scoring potential before that they all die and they all get outpaced by the damage of Handless Dogs.
Yeah, right now, Atlas Jewish Agent might be desperate for some more awakenings to help his cooldowns, because he is using his... Atlas is using a special off cooldown, but we can look at even Weston getting his hands dirty himself. And the Dogs come out on top once again on the power play, and this might be the set point, especially as Nicky Middleton here isn't getting the double KO for the Dogs, and Jewish Agent all by his lonesome. Sphinx does come up though, but he's only level 2. He has not gotten a taste of the core, and yeah, they're Handless Dogs capitalizing on it once again. Corner offense until Spring Rolls comes back, who is also level 2, and Weston coming in with a big finish, and Flambeau layering his primary on top.
And just like that, first set's over, and immediately we're looking at Sparks, both brawlers taking Spark. A very interesting decision, but one that is likely to pay off. Size here as well for the Kazan, a character that scales extremely well with size, and in general, set 3, set 4, set 5, that Kazan character is going to be a monster. And with the fact that she also took Spark of Agility, she's going to have way more options than just the threats of size and core speed to improve her scoring potential.
Yeah, it looks like Weston taking Reptile as well to deny, but maybe things can happen now, because Jewish did get Timeless Creator, and it's going to give him a little more zoning potential, I guess, if he gets the full-on expanse. But definitely the highlight here was Nicky Middleton taking size first draft. Very, very scary here. Handless Dogs immediately with a strong offense off the Atlas variant here, and it's Nicky Middleton and Weston trying to burst through Jewish Asian and Spring Rolls, and Mr. Flambeau making sure the damage sticks. Yeah, especially with this Finny, the secondary coming in and constantly just prickling Spring Rolls here. He's once again low on evade and a little bit low on health, but he is regened. He does get the barrier to answer. Double barrier now for Groundhog. They can maybe push it in, but the shotgun goes astray, and Mr. Flambeau and Nicky Middleton now is the ones capitalizing. Gets out one expanse here, and the second expanse used early from Jewish Asian. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But so if they can win midfield now, it could be Handless Dog Show coming in. Mr. Flambeau dashing, and getting the kill onto Spring Rolls was Nicky Middleton there. Another power play on Handless Dogs. Can they use it to get around this Atlas here? Because Jewish Agent, sometimes impenetrable fortress. He does use the flip a little bit early. Oh, that was a dangerous moment, but Weston gets it. So Nicky Middleton here, crooked leverage around Jewish Agent, trying to find a good angle. This corner offense, all three of Groundhog Day on defense here, as Weston looking to poke and prod here. Never-ending secondaries from the Fini. Double energy, Nicky Millen and Weston. Flambeau almost with energy too as well. So this could be some flips used from Handless Dogs coming out to burst through Jewish Agent's defense. Primary use, Spring Rolls trying to get around Weston. He couldn't. Weston holds. And then nice usage of the variant here. Spring Rolls brought low again, but thankfully it's not as bad in the killing time because Flambeau and Nicky Millen both trying to burst through Jewish Agent here. So Spring Rolls can get around Weston. If Weston doesn't use misdirection, what a great shot. But a great counter by Weston. Now Spinks with energy brought low. Nicky Millen on the hunt. Spinks has to retreat, and Jewish Agent taking his place. But Nicky Millen uses the flip, stacks it up with Flambeau, gets it back by two people now, and it's a low Spring Rolls and a low Spinks as they're being knocked around by the variant. And it's Weston and Flambeau with nice health, gets it around Spinks' shotgun once more, and Spring Rolls trying to do something, trying to make something happen, but Spinks goes off the field, and Flambeau gets a KO onto Spring Rolls, and well, it's a 2v1 against Jewish Agent. Weston slowly making his way up potentially, and Nicky Millen gets it around. 1-0 for his Dogs, just like that.
There's a rising concern for me for the side of GHOG. That Drakkar pick is struggling to find value here. He doesn't provide as much damage or as much core control as the Estelle, and as we're seeing, it's becoming a big liability right now. There aren't a lot of awakenings that we can see to help improve that Drakkar's ability to help their team that much as well, so it's really going to depend on whether or not Sphinx can find some very particular awakenings, like Missile Prop, if they want a scoring chance at all. Oh god, death already.
That's a dead Spring Rolls there, even though the Atlas did use his Celestial. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but Groundhog Day did open up the barrier first, and then, yeah, like you said, if Sphinx can get his hands on the core, if he stops getting bullied off, he does have Slick Kicks, so that's a nice bit of damage. Weston does have to use the flip there, gets it through Spring Rolls, who uses the secondary, but unfortunately wasn't able to get it through Weston into the goal. A goal seems so close yet so far for Groundhog Day. Time and time again, Weston seems to be always there, and now Mr. Flambeau with energy. Jewish Agent uses Expanse, gets it to Nicky Middleton, who threads the needle. 2-0 Handless Dogs against Groundhog Day.
And a gorgeous strike from Nicky Middleton. That little bit of extra size, just icing on the cake for that goal. And we're edging very close to a point where there are just so many awakenings for the side of Handless Dogs that can make this game even harder for GHOG. That it's going to be really tight. Every set loss is a massive hill to climb.
Yeah, and Spinks does get the size and probably can control the middle a little bit more, especially with Jewish Agent. Oh, a nice layering, and now Mr. Flambeau brought a little bit low perhaps, and then great value from Jewish Agent. Celestial Expanse getting, his special getting Spinks up and ready to go again. But it's corner offense now again on the Handless Dogs. Spring Rolls has been on the back foot for so long. Nicky Middleton with a dash, whizzing past Spring Rolls. Perhaps this is a chance now with Weston nowhere to clear. Sphinx just shotguns it in.
And a great combination of abilities from Sphinx and Spring Rolls to get that first goal. First of many, hopefully. Another important thing to keep in mind is that was a lot of XP, which the side of GHOG desperately needs if they want to try and start surviving the barrage of abilities that the two are displaying. Oh my god, both barriers gone instantly though.
Yeah, this might be a rough variant for Spring Rolls and Sphinx because they have to stand on the poison to make the corner offense happen, and Spring Rolls, look at that, brought low again, and Sphinx brought low again. Weston, he can just layer on his little Finny Magic Fairy Dust anytime he wants, and the other forwards go flying on Groundhog Day, and Flambeau and Weston don't really have too much to worry about as of now, but Spring Rolls coming in, he's trying to come in, but Nicky Millen intercepts him and sends him off the field, and now Nicky Millen trades places with Weston, who has a flip, and he can make things happen yeah, it's so hard to clear on this variant as well. Nicky Millen trying to be goalie here, but Sphinx getting a great special off, equalizing the barrier count, but trades his life for that. Weston, nice flip, Flambeau also has a flip, but Jewish Asian, great primary preemptively placed here. But now Spring Rolls have to do the bend between Nicki Minilla and Flambeau in the primary, and a dash from Kazan, securing second set for Hamlet's Dogs.
And a great bit of hitstone from Flambeau to ensure that that goal was practically uncontested. Another well-earned MVP for Nicki Middleton on the Kazan. And we're seeing bulk up, sparks. There are so many options here for the Kazan. I actually think the best one here would be bulk up because you don't want to give the side of GHOG any chance of surviving. This stagger is a lot of survivability for the Drakkar, and it does give the Drek a bit of kill pressure in the corner. Team player as well, very important pickup. Core speed, moving the ball around as fast as you can. I would say this is a pretty good draft for the side of GHOG. It could have been much worse.
Yeah, definitely a really good breath of fresh air. 2 sparks coming out, so Spring Rolls didn't really get his sparks denied. Weston making the choice to trade Deadeye for Twin Drive here, so that Jewish Asian can potentially clear a little bit better to his teammates. But Nicki Middleton, 2 sparks, spark of agility, really, really fast with a lot of cooldowns on Kazan. She can definitely show the reason for these picks and maybe can potentially continue laying on more damage with that cooldown here. As Spring Rolls brought low again, Jewish Asian has to use his special to let them survive, and Mr. Flambeau dashing in, saving Weston a little bit. But there's the first barrier. There's the second barrier here on the speaker variant of here on Test Chamber, as Spring Rolls and Spinks have been doing a really good job of getting the barrier this set around. And yeah, that little bit of extra health might be helping the Drakkar be a little more aggressive. Jewish Agent putting on a difficult but well-orchestrated defense here. But Spinks brought low again, and Mr. Flambeau beaming him potentially off even with the bulk up. Might not be enough stagger. There's the pull, and Weston blocks the pendulum swing. My goodness, Spring Rolls has tried his best, but unfortunately Jewish Agent has to burn his flip. Nicki Middleton doing the little square dance and then gets the core in, kills Jewish Asian, and then there we go, they actually gets the core in. Hamlet's Dogs continuing the momentum.
And by no means was that draft bad for the side of Hamlet's Dogs either. Speed, 2 sparks, just like you said, Auto, and there's just, oh my god, so much damage happening. There's so much all at once. I think that even with what they've gotten so far, it's hard for them to keep pace with the side of Hamlet's Dogs. The tempo is just so hard to deal with.
Yeah, the castle of Jewish Asian falling, almost symbolic of, yeah, this power plays that Hamlet's Dogs have continued to get, and as Spinks went off the field just now. But there you go, very good plays from Spinks and Spring Rolls. Weston did have flip up though, and now Mr. Flambeau is the one with flip. Waits out the expanse here, gets it through Spring Rolls, but Jewish Agent was waiting for it, and now Spinks dashing in with his cloak, trying to do some mind games, getting a shotgun in through Spring Rolls. Weston holds, and Mr. Flambeau beams that core out of there. Nicki Mill, that's a huge Kazan. Kazan ruling the midfield. Spring Rolls being brought down to his knees. But he's still living, and that's a big difference here. You can get it at the pendulum, unfortunately, a little too early for the core. As Spring Rolls continue to get bullied, and Flambeau and Weston pushing the core out through, and Nicki Mill rejoining the gang, rejoining the pack, and Jewish Agent gets it on the very, very edge, a nasty angle through the middle variant as he uses flip. But Nicki Mill now would flip as she rushes in, gets out the expanse, and Weston there in time to save this quick moving core, but Spinks now gets the size and gets it through.
And overtime is exactly what GHOG wants to play in. Team player, that little bit of secondary with the extra power for Drakkar means they're gonna have so much access to so many red cores, and Finny might have a lot of area denial and control of a lot of space, but she cannot deal with fast cores that effectively. So if you can start abusing that team player, get those longer rounds, there's definitely room, or they can just win immediately. Wow.
Yeah, amazing offense here from Spring Rolls and Spinks. They really made sure that they didn't die, and they shoved the core in through Weston in his face. But this is Nicki Middleton and Flambeau coming in with the core flip here. Waits out the expanse, uses it to get one barrier. Oh, barrier trade coming in, and then that's an unfortunate trade for Hamlet's Dogs here. This is Groundhog Day potentially getting set point here. They were at a 0-2 deficit, but this set, winning the set could be huge potentially, as the big finish comes in. Does not get a barrier. Nicki Middleton with the dangerous primary, but Spinks getting it across Spring Rolls. Spring Rolls waiting out the misdirection perfectly, forcing Weston to use his flip. And now it's Mr. Flambeau though here with the corner offense, gets it past Jewish Asian, dangerous, bouncing on the side alleys, but Weston is there, and Nicki Middleton pulls the core into the goal. 2-2 for Hamlet's Dogs, trying to close this out.
And despite all of the damage coming out, it is still Kazan, it is still a hook, and it is still a very good chance of them just walking around you, as those two characters are wont to do. However, they are finally showing signs of life from the side of GHOG. Two barriers immediately. If they can get this set, there's so many things that they can have to improve the lives of their Kazan and their Atlas.
My goodness, Flambeau, Weston, Nikki holding in the net. That was absolutely amazing. And now they might be rewarded with an offensive turn of their own as Sphinx uses Camo Cloak to try and keep up possession. Unfortunately, was not successful. And this is Nikki Middleton here with the orb close to flip. Mr. Flambeau trying to get it around Jewish Agent Yu, who uses the flip to maintain position. And he really wants to. They really want to win this. This is Groundhog set to win. And Spring Rolls uses Death's Touch. Unfortunately, was body blocked. And now Nikki Middleton might be low. She might get bullied off. She is wise to Atlas variant, though, as she steps off as Jewish Agent tries to go for a snipe here. Nikki Middleton, perfect dodge, trying to get it. Even the Expanse could not touch Nikki Middleton here as she's surviving. She has energy. This could be huge, though, if Spring Rolls gets her off the field. But Flambeau does intercept it with the beam. And the power play now for the side of Groundhog Day, as Weston and Flambeau full defense mode now until their Kazan comes back. And great hold as Nikki Middleton does come in. Great open form primary as well. Jewish Asian constantly red coring here. This core speed is insanity. As Spring Rolls brought low, though, he has to use his last expanse, and now it's Flambeau and Nikki trying to get Spring Rolls off the field and get an answer back with a power play of their own. And there we go. We have a Handless Dogs power play once again. And Jewish Agent holding very well, conserving his skills. There's Expanse, there's Primary. He might have a second Expanse, and Flambeau does have Flip now. Weston coming in, trying to assist Flambeau. That's a red coring Sphinx. Very nice Trickar. As Nikki Middleton kind of gets trapped between rock and a hard place, and she loses half her health here. So might make the fight against Spring Rolls a little bit more dicey. Flambeau with the flip. He wants to hold it for a more critical moment, it seems like. And oh, there's the moment. Unfortunately, does not get through. And Spring Rolls a good read into Weston's clear. And Groundhog Day finally coming back with a set.
And we saw there, all of that red core from that overtime was because of that team player allowing the side of GHOG to just move the ball so effectively. Unfortunately, it is the Atlas with first pick. However, there's still Primetime, still Hotshot. I think you're going to have to take the Primetime, and your Rasmus is just going to not have any size. You might just have to deal with Explosive Entrance instead, which is fine, but certainly not what you want. Double-sized Kazan with 23 CDR is pretty scary, and we're denying Monu instead. That is interesting, but I won't actually disagree with it. I think that Finny with Monu can be incredibly difficult to both score on and get the ball away from. So there's definitely some sense there. And we are getting another dash training on Twin Drive Ricard. This one will improve his primaries and his ult damage as well. So all of a sudden, there's some pretty good awakenings on the field for the side of GHOG. And if Sphinx wants to, you can start looking for kills off the edge as well.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of good awakenings come in. A little bit more life from Groundhog. But yeah, this Nikki Middleton, this Kazan character looking kind of huge. And Sphinx is getting bounced off here and there. Wasn't finding a kill for Dogs, unfortunately. And then, yeah, Spring was trying to... Oh, there we go. There goes Sphinx off the field. And Mr. Flambeau and Nikki Middleton trying to get it around Jewish Agent once again. They're so good at it. As a little bit of a speaker variant right there, doing some stuff.
Yeah, an absolutely pretty crazy angle from Nikki there. Just finding the sweet spot right in between the max size secondary from the Atlas, as well as utilizing a nice curve from the corner. But there are definitely more signs of life, and I think that GHOG is starting to show that they can win this game. It's just going to be hard.
Yeah, it's definitely still an uphill battle. Groundhog seemingly has to play each point perfectly because they're not the ones putting on damage. And Spring Rolls even, brought so far down as to have to deny Monumentalist away from Finny, right? He can't be really feeling too good about that. But yeah, right now it's Flambeau and Nikki Middleton in the driver's seat with double flip. And there we go, Spring Rolls taken off the field by Weston. And Jewish Agent doing a great job of moving up aggressively as the Atlas goalie, even on these power play situations, and really making Handless Dogs respect the Atlas pick here. And Nikki Middleton almost flies off the field, survives though. And with the recovery drone, this is another hill that they have to climb, and this is triple flip here available for Dogs. Unfortunate angle bounce from Spring Rolls with the Death Touch. And the red coring gets the core past Weston's defense here. But again, Nikki Middleton and Flambeau both have flipped. They both bringing Sphinx low. Nikki Middleton does use the flip there to try and kill Sphinx. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And Mr. Flambeau with the second flip There we go, confirming Sphinx kill. But now all three of Handless Dogs do not have flip, and Spring Rolls using the Death Touch into the redirect there. Wonderful play.
An excellent series of events from Spring Rolls. Perfectly core controlled that ball there. Utilizing the extra special that he picked up in set 2 quite effectively as well. I was a little bit curious when I saw that initially, because I would expect that to be on the Atlas to try and deal with some of this damage, but Spring Rolls has been using perfectly exactly what he needs to in many of these circumstances. So it's clearly a good decision.
Great plays from both teams as the core is starting to go red very quick into the start of the game here. Both teams have so much power. And then Spring Rolls once again another hook. Weston this time blocks it. And Nicky Middle and Flambeau starting to pile on a little bit more damage onto Sphinx. And trying to beam through everybody. Unfortunately, Jewish Agent does hold. Not this time though, and Mr. Flambeau tried to get through. He does kill Spring Rolls as well. Another power play, but now equalizer from the side of Groundhog as Flambeau is also taken off the field. But Nicky Middleton just shoving through brute straight Kazan here.
Slick kicks, double size, and 2 speed sparks make that Kazan an absolute menace to try and get the ball away from. But that is also probably GHOG's worst map. I think that variant is incredibly difficult for the side of the Rasmussen and Jakarta play around. Those puddles of doom basically ensuring that you can't utilize the extra range that those characters like to play at well at all, and it just incentivizes death, which the side of Handless Dogs are prioritizing quite heavily.
Yeah, Weston slowing down a core a little bit, but perhaps that leaves room for Sphinx to just run in and get the barrier just like that. Nicky Middleton forcing Spring Rolls to burn his energy. And now it's Flambeau once again with that corner offense, and Weston comes in, and then Nicky Middleton comes in getting the second barrier here, and Jewish Agent has to use a lot of his skills. Spring Rolls has to burn his Death Touch preemptively, and Nicky Middleton once again winning the strike 4 against Jewish Agent. That's a 3-1 victory for Handless Dogs.
Off the back of an excellent bit of play for Flambeau as well. I really like using that center to just set up your brawler really effectively, give him a very advantageous strike 4, and Nicky Middleton used it to a D. Well done from the forward pair in the sauce.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw some really crazy core control and damage from both teams. Obviously, we had Spring Rolls with his Death Touch, getting stuff around Weston. I think things started really looking up for Groundhog on that third set when Sphinx got bulk up, surviving a little more, and Jewish Agent got team player. But unfortunately, Dogs just kind of followed back, getting a really huge Nicky Middleton and kind of putting her as a battering ram. 10 goals here from Nicky Middleton as Dogs, secured her first point over Groundhog Day.
10 goals and 246 redirects on the Kazan. Nicky was just putting on a freaking clinic that game. Incredibly nice to see. And the Kazan as well, you know. Somewhat of an underutilized character across multiple leagues at this point. So I'm happy to see a nice little Kazan show.
Yeah, for sure. And the next map is going to be on Oni Village. I believe this one was the Groundhog pick, so we'll see how they make their adjustments and come back.
Okay.
Welcome back. We're in the second game of Groundhog versus Dog here. We are seeing some unconventional picks coming out for Oni Village to shake things up. All 6 players have taken Big Fish, and if Dog win this, they become 4-1 in Nasty. So we have Tony back here again. Tony, tell us more about these comps that we're seeing.
So these are some very, very unusual comps we're seeing. Rasmus Kazan were banned, which means that 2 of the generally strongest brawlers, especially on the side start, aren't available. But no Zentaro was picked. Instead, we have Spring Rolls on the Estelle brawler and Nicky Middleton on the Dubu brawler. Both taking Slicks as well. What this means is that the first couple sets are going to be really slow. There's very little speed on both sides. You have a Juno versus a Rune in the midfield, and the initial scoring pressure is going to be quite difficult for both sides to get an effective checkmate on. There are going to be a lot of like sporadic instances where it looks like things might go in, and then they might not. As we saw there, spam your ults for the side of Handless Dogs. That is their strongest win condition. Or a random kill, that works too.
Wow, I mean, we were saying it, and then 50 something seconds in, Sphinx goes off the field randomly, and Nicky Middleton gets a flip and scores. I mean, kind of crazy. I will say. But yeah, I think we saw a really cool picture of what the Handless Dogs want to execute here. Flambeau kind of stalling with the ults, Nikki Millen walking up, getting her tofu wall up, and bam, there goes, the barriers. But Spring Rolls and Sphinx here, they do have quite a bit of poking pressure, right? So hopefully we can see their comp come into fruition as well, because yeah, this until someone's ult comes up like that, it is a little bit of a slow moving core. But Sphinx is brought low. I mean, handless dogs, they're really larping about being handless because they just throw hands every chance they get, honestly. But Sphinx just dashing up to Weston, getting the orb, bringing himself to health, and yeah, this Mako doing a lot of heavy lifting and getting the speed up for Nikki Mill and Flambeau, but Spring Rolls nicely timed secondary, getting the second barrier on the side of Groundhog now. And now Flambeau and Nikki Millen kind of have to shamble over to defense along with Weston here. And Jewish Asian holding on to this lower barrier for Groundhog expertly, has to burn his flip there, and Sphinx just blobos off Nikki Millen off the field here. Now it's Spring Rolls getting the nice redirect from Sphinx to the bottom right corner of the let.
And what we were seeing there for the side of Handless Dogs is kind of the problem with getting that second barrier. It's very predicated on Mr. Flambeau banishing the core specifically, so that Nikki Middleton can set up her Dubu wall behind it and make it just basically impossible to clear. A lot more like that, actually. No ult, but definitely pushing the core around to where you need it rather than trying to banish a person.
So when that kind of setup happens, Tony, I mean, as we're seeing the Asher trying to get the core around, Mr. Flambeau had to flip though, so hold that thought, and Nikki Millen just somersaulting in. Unfortunately, everything held, and Mr. Flambeau kind of reached his own barrier there. Fortunate situation, but Handless Dogs still do have that one barrier that they can hold on forever. And now, yeah, I mean, Jewish Asian getting the core to Sphinx, who layers primaries with Spring Rolls, but Weston gets to clear, and now once again another somersault forcing Sphinx to use his flip. Weston also flips, almost goes off the field there. Dangerous beam by Spring Rolls, it could be deadly, and another double banish into the tofu walls. But now their offense is halted until Nikki Middleton has the flip though, and Jewish Asian misses the pass splitter, and there it goes, 2-1 Handless Dogs with a flip on the side of Nikki Middleton.
Yep, and once the net's open, it's much easier for this Dubu and Rune to pass around the Asher. It's getting that second barrier that's really the test, and the question of whether Jewish Asian can find those angles around the Dubu. Because you don't really want to play around the Rune. Those pillars are just kind of really awkward, especially for an Asher to play around. You want to get it through or around the Dubu because Dubu's area of influence is just so much lower.
Yeah, so yeah, once again, Jewish Asian kind of just giving up the top barrier, no problem, and really holding on to this bottom barrier for dear life, as many goalies do on Oni Village, honestly. And a banish coming out with the Dubu wall, this time a little bit more space in between, and that's enough for Sphinx and Spring Rolls to clear, and trying to set up their own win condition, which I believe is just layering primaries and blobos and overwhelming Weston, but so far the offense has not been quite there, as Nikki is boosted by Weston's speed and patrolling up and down the field until she gets her own ult up again with Flambeau. And yeah, the pressure continues to mount for the side of Handless Dogs, but if Sphinx and Spring Rolls can connect with a good push, they also have I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a nice snipe from Spring Rolls, even inside the Mako cage, right? So there's definitely a universe where Groundhog can execute their comp. And another banish coming out. Jewish dodges, but unfortunately could not stop the barrier from falling. And that's the open net into the flip. Nikki Middleton. Great shot.
For the side of Groundhog Day is that they want to play for this overtime. They want to play for the fast core speed to just kind of like break the back of Weston and make it really hard to interact. But immediately we're seeing extra special, incredibly important awakening for the side of Handless Dogs. Getting it set 1 would be massive. Honestly, you'd prefer it on the Rune, if anyone, just because that banish is just such a high value tool, and he's actually going to get it. Okay. Dubu here could look for Among Titans. Yep, perfect. Because Dubu doesn't really care about the size. She wants the speed more than anything. We're getting Monumentalist. I think that was a deny, but it's also a nice bit of core speed for the side of the Juno. And what they do want to play around is this core speed. That little bit of power, explosive entrance means that Estelle's going to hit a lot harder. So we're seeing this battle here of ults versus core speed, and part of the problem is that for the side of Groundhog Day, you need to almost survive for a whole minute or kill somebody before you can start abusing that core speed really effectively.
And a really nice kill coming out from Sphinx, just blobboing Weston in the face, and there he goes. Nicki Millen has to use her ever-important ult to ensure that the defense is done. But Weston is back, and Nicki Millen should be able to get through with the log, maybe, and Mr. Flambeau still has coming in from the bottom and Nicki Millen coming in from the top as the cage is layered on top. That's a very scary triple creation comp coming out from Handless Dogs here. But yes, the clock is ticking lower here as the time gets more for Sphinx coming, and the flip comes out, but Sphinx wise to it, dodges out of the way, and he survives, and now Nicki Millen without a flip potentially has an ult coming up soon. They really want to make it happen in overtime immediately to core. You can start seeing the core speed up here for Groundhog, as hopefully they can execute their snipes and overwhelm Weston, and a great core speed red coring from Sphinx coming out, and Nicki Millen and Flambeau looking for the angle, but yeah, it's so much harder to get that core in when with the ult when the core's so fast, and the banish coming out. Weston has to clear. Unfortunately, banish doesn't hit anything, and Nicki Millen reorients themselves to the top. Jewish Agent pass splittering Flambeau up top and uses it to clear the core from bottom, and now it's Spring Rolls with a flip, and Sphinx trying to get it to Spring Rolls, trying to not die as Spring Rolls uses his flip away. And now it's the side of Handless Dogs again now, but Spring Rolls gets it through Weston. The core slips through, and the Estelle Beam was all he needed. And now it's Groundhog Day fighting against Open Net. Can they get it through Weston? Expert strike shot coming in, handling it, and the Blobos, Nicki Millen contesting the AI, winning. And now it's Mr. Flambeau with the Room Pillar, but Jewish Agent holds at the primary. Now Nicki Millen's ult, making sure the core has to be directed upwards, as Flambeau with the flip waiting at the top. Flip was not used though. Now it's Nicki Millen trying to force it through with log. Jewish Agent holding on to his primary beam again, and Weston misses his primary, and Spring Rolls unfortunately wasn't able to connect with the beam here using his special, as gets it through the core speed just enough to slide it past Weston and Flambeau.
And what you're seeing here, that's the power of that overtime for the side of Groundhog Day. As soon as they get that, they get those red cores almost off of everything, especially the Juno. But another thing to note for these two comps is you have no real direct scoring pressure against either melee goalie. So what's going to happen a lot once that first barrier falls is there's a lot of posturing to try and put somebody in a really uncomfortable position. That's you notice way more. Oh no, you notice it a lot versus with these kind of unconventional picks, because it's way harder to set up a random hit stun or some very consistent piece of pressure in a certain area.
I see. So yeah, we have seen Nicki Millen and Flambeau kind of posture that way the most, I feel like, especially. But once the core turns red, right, it's definitely Spring Rolls and Sphinx feeling a little more comfortable what they're doing. And the log, dangerous, but Jewish Asian, great redirect, but unfortunately, second time's a charm. Nicki Millen getting around, and now this is energy-less Jewish Asian having to defend the barriers of Odie Village.
And it's all been off the back of some really great ults from the rune. Mr. Flambeau finding great opportunities to force that flip. And it's part of the problem you have when you're a goalie, where you want to store that energy. And I mean, they just score immediately, 2 barriers into the net.
Yeah.
It's wow. Well done.
Great point from Dogs. I mean, Mr. Flambeau MVP of that point for sure, because he got the top barrier, pillars, Jewish Agents clear for the lower barrier, and then orchestrates a double, banish. And Nicki Millen with just getting it through the wall, finally hitting for the first time it seems like ages. Weston with the flip now, and Flambeau banishes Spring Rolls. Unfortunately, nothing does come off of it now, and his Spring Rolls can get it through. Weston, nice primary though, making sure to meet the core a little bit further so the beam doesn't grief him there. And Flambeau and Spring Rolls kind of jockeying for position. Nice back and forth between Flambeau and Weston here, as they're just trying to find an angle for Nicki Millen to walk back up and do the somersault through the log. Asher but presses the right click button, and everything goes to moot though. Great hold from Jewish Asian as getting it around this fat Dubu, and double vanish from Flambeau, and Nicki Millen gets the core in 2-0 Handless Dogs.
And the biggest downside of this Handless Dogs comp is that getting that second barrier is so hard. But what Jewish Asian has been doing has been unfortunately leading to a lot of both barriers being lost at the same time because he's just not committing to one. And I think that when you're the Asher here, when you're playing against this comp, you kind of just have to say, okay, one barrier's gone. We need to play for this single barrier because we're so good at holding it and it's so hard for them to get rid of it. That being said, team player for the side of Handless Dogs is a really big opportunity for them. We saw it last game when they got team player. The map did open up somewhat, and I think on Oni Village, especially when they're playing for this core speed boost over time, it's even more valuable. They really just need to stall out, try and AFK for that first minute, and then abuse all of those red cores that they're going to have access to as soon as overtime hits.
Yeah, I mean, Juno taking fight or flight too. We saw Handless Dogs hold their picks a lot during draft, and it feels like, yeah, Groundhog actually went out on the draft a little here, but Nikki Minolan contesting Jewish Asian winning both times with the log. This time with the wall, clearing out Spinks, and Flambeau nailing the goal into the bottom corner. Handless Dogs continue on their momentum.
Yeah, I mean, the Handless Dogs, once that net is open, they're covering so much base so effectively. They're not overlapping anything pretty much at all. They're playing super well with the picks they played. Clearly, this is a fairly practiced comp, at least from what it looks like. It's really hard for the side of Groundhog Day too. Another double barrier, it's just heartbreaking. They need to last for so long against this menace of a team comp. Losing extra special, set 1, just kind of set the tone so far in the favor of Handless Dogs.
Yeah, the fact that the high cooldown rune can get the extra special really paid off dividends for Handless Dogs, and now Handless Dogs are the ones just playing against Jewish Asian, who has to hold an open net, but he is playing well. He has energy, and now, but with Spinks, Jewish Asian has to dash, has to burn the flip, and has to clear, but it lasts forever. The Tofu Fortress.
No, heartbreaking clear too. There's basically nowhere to go. There's maybe an angle you could have done off of the corner, but I wouldn't have trusted it. I would have been in the exact same situation as Jewish Asian, and I would have been scored on just as consistently.
Very relatable moments from Jewish Asian coming out. All goalie mains are crying right now. Nikki Millen with the flip can dump cooldowns. Unfortunately, I think she did use it to push through with the log in the wall. So it's Weston and Flambeau now having to, finally open barrier here for Groundhog Day. And Spring Rolls, does he have cooldowns? Can he push it through? Can he layer primaries along with Spinks? Unfortunately not. The core stalls a little bit on the midfield, and Flambeau gets a double banish off. Nikki Minolan gets the somersault off, and Spring Rolls goes off the field here, and this is Flambeau with energy. And they can try to make this power play and do stuff with the wall. And nice pillar from Flambeau, but Jewish Asian holds. And
what a save! Oh my god, Jewish Asian!
Crazy saves coming out from Jewish Asian. Once again, another save, and finally the wall that is Jewish Asian folds, but Spinks, great flip. Unfortunately, Weston had a flip to counter, and now it's a double banish on Jewish Asian, but they do come back. Nothing does come off of it. And now it's Spinks and Spring Rolls and overtime, getting the core in. 1-2, Groundhog there, making this game last.
Signs of life for the side of Groundhog Day. Those saves from Jewish Asian on that bottom barrier, basically 1v3, were incredible. Now, Jewish Asian wants to win this game so badly, and I definitely think they can. You saw basically as soon as overtime hit again, they got that core speed, they scored so quickly, and they didn't even have to utilize team player yet. Once Jewish Asian gets a little bit more agency, especially if they start slowing these points down just even further, more and more just patience, I definitely think Groundhog Day can still win this game.
Jewish Agent in control of his net, really making this bottom barrier difficult for Flambeau and Nikki Millen to hold. And you saw Nikki Millen come up with a threatening wall, but Jewish Agent cleared it no problem. And Jewish Agent waiting patiently for Flambeau to make his pillar commitment, using the pass splitter for that dangerous push. But this time, Flambeau has the setup for Nikki Millen, who has a flip to come in and potentially take the lower barrier. And Spring Rolls does have a flip to answer, but he does want to use it. Defensively, Jewish Agent goes off the field. A momentary lapse in concentration, perhaps. Nikki Millen intercepting with a somersault, does not miss. And yeah, getting it through Nikki Millen with the flip. Spring Rolls holding for Jewish Agent like a boss, though. Unfortunately, the core does slip through top half, and yeah, we're trying to see. Spring Rolls getting a flip, using it aggressively, getting it through Weston. Jewish Agent has to hold against the open net against Flambeau and Nikki Millen. Flambeau really close to a flip, though, and Weston has a flip now, meeting Spinks' Blobo redirect with a primary. Great clear from Weston. You can really see how comfortable he is on the Mako. Uses the flip though. Nicky Millen does clear it through. And now Mr. Flambeau so close to a flip. This could be a key to room flip, dodging Spring Roll to snipe. And the wall with the Timeless, banishing Sphinx.
Oh.
Goal going in on the side of Handless Dogs. 2-0ing Groundhog here.
And an incredibly fast Oni Village game too. I think we started to see it at the end. Jewish Asian was kind of starting to realize that there's only so much space that the side of Handless Dogs can cover. And they can't really effectively commit to covering the whole area unless they have their ults. That being said, that was a 3-0, still 17 minutes long, and it did not feel like there were that many points that went into overtime, too, despite, you know, what it seemed.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can count the number of times it went into overtime, and I think that was every time Spring Rolls and Sphinx got a goal, and that's 3 goals in total, I think. So yeah, Handless Dogs really controlling the field on Oni Village, and we were so worried, right, Cody? We were both really worried about Handless Dogs team comp really being slow, but yeah, they really covered a lot of space, and once they got that second barrier open, they did so well not syncing up with each other, or syncing up with each other and getting the core in the net.